meeting you and learning that there is an afterlife is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
My goal in creating Mourning in the Cemetery was to tell Benny's story.
Wow, you look like shit. Did you sleep at all? Bad dream?
Not a dream.
Bad spirit?
Just ghosts being ghosts.
Oh yeah? What did they want?
I'm sorry to have bothered you. I didn't know what to do.
I don't mind helping some of the people down here. I just have to be selective.
We've seen the lighter side and the darker side of the afterlife. And for the fourth and final film in the first volume of the Raymond James Chronicles, we're telling Benny's story.
Happy birthday, Dad. Your bar's doing well.
I socialize in your bar.
That's not socializing, that's gambling.
I did watch the other ones previous to this, and I know up until this point, he was used to help move along Raven's story.
I'll let you know if it's haunted.
And I realized that Raven, James, can communicate with ghosts. So I'm trying to communicate through Raven to talk to my son Benny.
Suppose he told you today is my birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
There are two themes here that I was attracted to. One was the ghosts. The other thing is the alcoholism. I'm from Wisconsin, and alcohol is a way of life here.
I'm not an alcoholic. I drink with a purpose.
I was very curious about that combination, ghosts and alcohol.
What we find out in Mourning in the Cemetery is Benny used to be a heavy drinker.
There's several different aspects about Benny that I really like. A recovering alcoholic's probably one of the coolest ones to latch on to, like one of the coolest concepts for an actor to deal with, just because it gives you a lot of meat to sink your teeth into when you're trying to work out your character. And then also along with the mentality of that, Benny's physicality, because of having had his accident and walking with a cane and all that. That in itself gives something to play around with as well.
What I really appreciated about picking up a seasoned actor like Joshua was that he worked really well with Daniel. They had a great chemistry on screen. You needed that good on-screen chemistry to let it resonate to the audience and make sure the audience was feeling those moments that were so intense.
He's at peace. He knows that finally, you are too.
How can you tell?
And you could see it on Daniel's eyes in the cemetery scene.
I can tell.
You could feel it between both of them when they're talking to each other at the cafe. You could see that they had developed a friendship and such a strong bond with each other.
If losing my dad was the worst thing that's ever happened to me, then meeting you and learning that there is an afterlife is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Now really gotten to know Benny and how he responds. And a little bit deeper even that we've seen flashbacks of his relationship with his father.
The time with Josh was good. I mean, I got to know him, bonded with him.
As an actor myself, I don't know if I would have been able to get that deep. Nicky is collapsing and everything's sort of constraining in his body, and you can sort of see his body lock up.
Please, he doesn't look good.
Kevin, for all practical purposes, was the perfect pick for someone to portray Benny's dad.
Getting to know somebody that I hadn't really known helped a lot for developing the character.
So to round out the first volume, we've also kind of clearing up some loose ends, which is Raven and Benny's relationship, which consists of helping ghosts.
What the hell is going on?
What the hell do you think is going on?
Can you help them? Or are you just gonna walk away?
In the novel, Raven and Benny are helping ghosts. And it's clear in the novel that Raven does not want to help the living. And so with this film, we are essentially establishing that setup.
We remain discreet. Most people can't handle it. Trust me. It's not something you want to be known for.
And setting it up for volume 2 and 3, where we'll see more of an episodic sequence of Raven and Benny helping other ghosts together as a team, as opposed to Raven dealing with this stuff on his own.
Can you help me? Please!
You don't understand yet. Every morning I wake up to the sound of a different cry for help.
Raven is kind of stubborn. He doesn't really want to ask for help, but Benny is offering his help.
I want to help you with the ghosts.
Raven's kind of resisting that assistance.
I think you should let him help you.
But in the end,
Look, Benny, I know the whole ghost helping thing's important to you. You're good with people and you're a good friend. So I want you to help me. But we're not paranormal investigators.
he realizes that Benny has some of the personalities that Raven lacks that can help him help ghosts move on. When we were working on A Hot Summer Chill, I had kind of in my back pocket the outline for Mourning in the Cemetery.
You ignored them? If I could talk to ghosts, oh man.
Yeah, you'd what?
Even though they're clashing in A Hot Summer Chill, I knew that at some point they were going to eventually come to an agreement, and that agreement would happen in Mourning in the Cemetery.
So in filming in the cemetery, one thing that we did predict was that we were going to have weather was going to be a factor. We get there, of course there's a bunch of guys there cleaning up the trees that had fallen and the storm. And
there were lots of audio issues in the cemetery, especially when the landscaping crew would show up early in the morning, and they'd be there for at least 3 or 4 hours when we were recording.
And action.
So it just sounded like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is chasing me. Ben would ask me how the audio would sound, and I'd be like, well, it's not much better than the last take where the lawnmower is going, so.
But he isn't gone. He's always been with you.
you guys started over. We have people walking in the background.
Yep.
Wait for the plane.
Yeah.
We can't win. So there were certain variables that I call them uncontrollables, that you just have to roll with.
We're gonna have Benny do his thing. Get on my shot, please.
We never lost sight of being productive, which I think is something we've honed in on a little bit, is when we're together, we better be productive, because it's hard enough to get all of us together. So we always use that time wisely.
And thus far, I've not had any gore in my movies. That's about to change, isn't it, Brandon?
Everything's about to change.
I worked on makeup and special effects for Mourning in the Cemetery. That included a lot of composite shots and makeup effects, doing a great deal of green screen filming.
And action. Well, not all of them. Well, not all of them.
It was fun. It was freeing, that's the word I come up with. I mean, because I would try it authoritarian and try it defensive and try it jokingly.
Mickey on the green, jovial. Take one.
Right.
Whatever combination, I'd come up with, and that was fun.
Action. Come on, Raven. Be nice. It's my birthday.
That was a bit of an experience because it's the first time we've tackled that.
Action.
Hey, you help me? So I'm here to be a featured extra. I donated to the Indiegogo, so coming here to have some fun and have my face blown off. So.
Is this what you expected to be doing today?
I didn't expect to get this cool prosthetic. This is a really nice treat.
Up to this point, I haven't really done a lot of visual effects. with Demon in the Waiting Room, Brandon stepped up and did some really amazing stuff with the Demon, and he was very enthusiastic about doing more visual effects.
We wanted to make this one an effects-heavy film, just to kind of push the envelope and see what we were capable of as a team. There's a lot of chances in the Raven James movies to, especially in Mourning in the Cemetery, to show a lot of cool ghost stuff, and we really wanted to get a chance to explore what we could do in the time frame. And the answer to that's a lot.
Ready to get ready to film this?
Yeah. One of the things I did with this film was I specifically wrote scenes and shots that would be otherwise be challenging for me to figure out to do.
Can you help me?
I have a really kind of boring computer and it's not built for filmmaking at all, and trying to do multi-layer composite, like 30-level composite shots in 4K on that computer, like seriously, I would start a shot, go like let it render for 2 hours, come back, have to tweak something, let it render for 2 more hours, come back, have to tweak something, let it render, and when I say tweak, I mean like move part of a mask less than like 6 pixels to the left, like, and then just sit and wait for it to render.
And I really commend him for helping me put those together and make those come to life.
So it's just this process of learning what we can do within the bounds of our equipment.
Speaking of which, it's been 10 minutes.
Kind of the idea behind it is they're going to the cemetery and he gets just drunk enough to get them to leave, to disappear and be quiet.
10 minutes.
You got it. 10 minutes and we're out of here.
So when that 10 minutes is up, he becomes less drunk. And he turns around and there's 20 ghosts waiting for him to help.
Speaking of which, it's been 10 minutes.
That was something that I really was glad to finally bring about. It gives it a nice conclusion to the series, to demonstrate how many ghosts there really are. Because up to this point, it felt very low budget. Something I really wanted this film to be was have a bigger scope in every aspect. Bigger shots, bigger cast, more epic. It's a challenge to do things that make a small, low-budget independent film look gigantic. With Mourning in the Cemetery, we're really able to open up. We have drone shots. We're shooting in the cemetery in broad daylight. We have these big wide shots.
The truck. So, this is the truck that flipped. Is it still loaded? Yeah, it's loaded with pennies or dimes or nickels or quarters. What a form of U.S. currency. And it's a model. And we were like, what can we do with this model? Yeah, and so this little $20 truck on a I believe it was a water hose, bucket of hot water. Okay.
And a spritzer.
And a spritzer.
And I would spritz it.
And that was actually one of the places where we ran into a wall. Was we thought, oh, it's a toy truck, but whatever, we can, we'll make it blue, we'll chroma key it, we'll throw in a more realistic looking truck. It never happened because the shot is so short and so fast that we were just like, I guess we'll just leave it where it is. And we tried blurring it, we tried doing everything else. It looks like a toy truck flipping, but that's okay, because again, we're telling a story. It doesn't look CGI, it's a real object flipping really close up. So so it moves like a real object, which is kind of the important thing. Moving like muddy CGI wasn't something we wanted out of this piece. And so in a lot of ways we avoided doing a ton of CGI. I think the only real fully generated effect was the hole in the head ghost. And that posed a multitude of challenges, even though we filmed all the different individual parts. And
help me?
It's a learning experience. We learned a lot from it, and that's what I think was important. Just from the truck, the hole in the head guy, the diner scene, and then all of the process of filming the green screen. We learned quite a bit about doing compositing and effects in this film. That makes it a success. really. Like, the things that we learned. They outstripped our vision, or our vision outstripped our capability, but we knew that going in. And we got pretty close.
Tony and I have both invested in our software and equipment since Hot Summer Chill, where we started, and it's definitely improved, I think. And we're able to do it faster. I guess we're able to create more of the sound that we're looking for.
Early on, I challenged Justin Bright into coming up with the theme song for the Raymond James Chronicles.
He listened to some of the old music that we had made from A Hot Summer Chill and found a piece that I had written that was kind of influenced by the Terminator 2 theme. And he was like, I really like this. And so I guess it came about that I was going to implement that sort of into the Raymond James theme.
I'm really excited about the music that Justin and Tony were able to come up with for Mourning in the Cemetery. It's bigger and better than anything we've come up with so far.
So I started off mainly with just this drum beat and then expanded upon that with some melodic strings. And I found that it works really well as just the drums or just the strings.
Speaking of which, it's been 10 minutes.
And Ben was really happy with it.
They do a really good job of feeling the tone of the films.
Now it's the Raymond James theme.
We've laid the groundwork. We know who Raven is. We know who Benny is. And it even gives me the chills. I get excited when I think about this. But now we're going to see all these other characters.
I want to see the world built out more. I want to see the exploration of the world outside of Raven James, where we have these ghosts.
Can you help me with any of it? Listen to ghosts the way you can.
Maybe.
Obviously, there's some reason that ghosts exist, and there's some behind-the-scenes physics of ghosts that I think would be fun to play with.
Get the hell out of my house! What are you doing in my head?
What are ghosts doing when they're not in the waiting room? You know, what's the life of a ghost like? Like, seeing a Raven James episode from the point of view of a ghost would be great.
I'm just looking forward to seeing the story evolve. I always thought from when I first heard about the project that having an alcoholic character who is trying to numb all these interactions with ghosts, it just seemed like a great idea.
I think a lot of the things in this movie were relatable, and I'd like to see more of those. I mean, other things like that.
So Raven and Benny and all of those are Ben's characters, and I really want to play in that same sandbox that Ben's playing in without picking up his action figures and moving them around. You know, I want Ben to be able to tell Raven's story because he does it really well and it's a cool story. And then I want to go over here and look at where are ghosts, what are ghosts, what's the rest of the world doing? Because if they exist, Raven's probably not the only one who hears them. What are the effects of being in Ben's universe? Because there's all these questions that we can answer, and that's part of the exciting thing about writing for sci-fi and horror and fantasy, is not just one set of characters. It's the whole world. It's the whole way that the physics are different. It's the way that, you know, all of that works, and that's going to be a place to explore the coming seasons.
And to see where you can continue to bring this sort of character idea and build it, it's something that I'm interested in watching evolve and develop and the story continue on.
Señor, por favor, ayúdame. Tú eres el único que me puede ayudar a encontrar mi hija.
I don't speak Spanish, lady.
She's saying something about her daughter.
It really brings a nice conclusion to the first volume.
So it references back along the series a lot better. And that was, I think, like the big weakness that I saw with it when I was editing it, or when I was doing the effects, was it's very linear and very like, it goes like that. And so it feels a lot like exposition. And this felt a lot more like a part of a whole story.
I can feel them, Benny. Oh, their loneliness and despair.
I think for me, that's my own pickiness, that like I love that kind of storytelling where it like references itself back again and really plays with its own continuity.
Oh boy, who jumped off a bridge when his family thought he just ran away.
It's been a long road of making the films with Ben and with these other guys, and I love doing it, as you can tell.
And leaves a lot open for more films.